The fundamental philosophical principle of Buddhism is that all of our suffering comes about as a result of an undisciplined mind, and that this untamed mind itself comes about because of ignorance and negative emotions. For the Buddhist practitioner, then, regardless of whether he or she follows the approach of the fundamental vehicle, Mahayana or Vajrayana, negative emotions are always the true enemy, a factor that has to be overcome and eliminated. And it is only by applying methods for training the mind that these negative emotions can be dispelled and eliminated. This is why in Buddhist writings and teachings we find such an extensive explanation of the mind and its different processes and functions. Since these negative emotions are states of mind, the method or technique for overcoming them must be developed from within. There is no alternative. They cannot be removed by some external technique like a surgical operation. This quote, taken from Dongxian, the heart essence of the great perfection, is a fundamental part of the practice of meditation. Controlling the untamed mind is the goal, and through the practice of Vajrayana Buddhism, this goal can be attained. Buddhism itself is about one's inner pursuit. The goal is to focus on one's most inner self as a way of reaching the highest potential. This is not an easily achieved goal, however. One cannot expect to go down this path successfully alone. A teacher is essential to guide one through the process. Vajrayana Buddhism is also known as Tantrayana, or Tantric Buddhism. Tantra techniques are an important part of the meditation focus and process. There is a supreme importance upon secrecy within practice. It is thought that unless you are fully prepared to be taught tantric techniques, that the lessons can be detrimental to you. These techniques are often reserved only for those who have been practicing for a very long time and have the presence of mind to be fully prepared to participate in these practices. These practices include mantras, which involves repeating ritualistic phrases, and mudras, which are particular hand positions. Pranayama, which is a Sanskrit word that translates to control, yama, and life force, prana, is the practice of controlling one's breath. The importances of mandala diagrams are taught as a way to visualize the path to enlightenment. Also important are the use of various ritual objects, including the vajra, which means both thunderbolt and diamond. In tantric rituals, the vajra symbolizes the male principle, which represents method in the right hand, and the bell symbolizes the female principle, which is held in the left. Their interaction leads to enlightenment. The pubra is another ritual object that is represented by a stake or nail-like instrument that signifies stability. The ganta, bell, and damaru, hand drum, are also considered important ritual objects in tantric practice. In order to gain a complete understanding of Vajrayana Buddhism and meditation practices, we should take a step back and consider for a moment the origins of Vajrayana, what it is and where it came from. Today, Vajrayana is practiced in Tibet, Bhutan, northern India, Nepal, northern China, and Mongolia. Vajrayana translates to mean the Vajra vehicle or the diamond vehicle. As discussed earlier, the Vajra is an important ritual object in Vajrayana. Vajra can be translated to mean indestructible and is often represented as a thunderbolt to convey this meaning. Vajrayana is an expansion from Mahayana Buddhism. The two differ not in their philosophies but in their practices. Vajrayana distinguishes itself by offering a faster path to enlightenment. This accelerated path is achieved through tantric practice, which is the main vehicle for Vajrayana meditation practice. It is thought that instead of achieving enlightenment once one has died or reached old age, that through tantric practice one can achieve this state much earlier in life by putting oneself in the mindset of the Buddha early. However, this expedited path is paved with many more obstacles. The meditation techniques employed in order to reach such a state are much more restrictive and profound. These methods consist of complex visualization practices, the cultivation of identity of a divinity, and the transcendence of the bounds of ordinary perception and self. These practices are key features of the heart of the Vajrayana meditation called deity yoga, which is intimately connected with the visualization of the mandala. The goal of these practices is to become a Bodhisattva. Translated, this means enlightened being. This is a person who has achieved the enlightened state and has dedicated himself to helping others achieve the enlightened state. By taking this path and dedicating one's life to helping others achieve this goal, the enlightened prolongs reaching nirvana themselves. This person is the ultimate selfless being and has agreed to stay behind to aid all others on their path. It is easiest to think of such a person not as a leader, but rather as one who remains behind to make sure all who wish to climb the mountain achieve that goal. Before we delve into the tantric path, let's consider meditation itself for a moment. Often, the word most associated with meditation is mindfulness, the idea of being conscious of your surroundings and acutely aware. This is the general state in meditation practice, but by no means the whole story. Chakras, or energy centers, are also an important element. It is important to gain an understanding of one's chakras and to keep energy flowing through these centers in a balanced way. When there is too little or too much energy flow, the body becomes disrupted. Pranayama, as mentioned earlier, is breath control and is also an important element of meditation practice. The most common meditation position involves a seated position, although it is important to note that this is not the only way to practice. In Tibetan monasteries, for example, often you will not find the Buddhist monks seated in a meditative state, but rather they will walk and chant, which is also a form of meditation practice. However, for our purposes, the focus will be on seated meditation form. For those who wish to give it a try, we will go through the correct form step by step. First, sit cross-legged on the floor, preferably in the full or half lotus position if you are particularly nimble. To be more comfortable, place a cushion beneath you. Keep your back straight and your shoulders level. Make sure they are parallel to the floor. Hold your arms slightly rounded and away from your body with your hands resting on your lap. Your palms should be facing up and the tips of your thumbs of both hands should be touching. Bend your neck slightly forward with your chin slightly tucked. You may close your eyes fully or keep them open slightly with your gaze following down the line of your nose. The last step is to close your lips and teeth lightly, not clamped shut, and with the tip of your tongue touch the roof of your mouth just behind the top teeth. This may seem a bit strange, but its purpose is to support energy flow through the body. The goal of meditation in Vajrayana Buddhism is to attain enlightenment or nirvana. Shamatha and Vipassana meditation practices are both necessary to achieve this. Shamatha is tranquility or concentration meditation. During this practice, the goal is to focus one's attention on a solitary thing. Vipassana meditation is known as insight meditation. Instead of focusing on one thing, the goal is to see the true meaning of your reality. Vipassana is a way of self-transformation through self-observation. Meditation generally can be, in a sense, considered a form of refuge. In order to reach a meditative state, you have to become a part of something other than your immediate self. In doing so, you are preparing yourself not only for this life, but for your next lives as well. As mentioned earlier, Tantra is an important element of Vajrayana Buddhism and meditation. Tantra is translated to mean to weave, which can be taken as weaving together parts and creating a unified whole. The Tantras were originally written in India and consist of a total of 92 scriptures. The origin of Tantra seems to be somewhat disputed. Some attribute its origin to Dattatreya, others see Shiva as the guru of Tantra, and still others think that Matsyendranath is its source, in large part because of an extensive 9th century Tantra text accredited to him. Guru Rinpoche, who followed the Tantric school in India, came to Tibet in 747 AD and established Tibetan schools of Tantric practice.